Good morning, folks. This is John Kogan. I'm the CEO of Performative, the online community for corporate finance, accounting, treasury, and related professionals. First, I would like to welcome everyone to today's webinar, Workforce Optimization Across the Enterprise. Today, companies face new levels of complexity as they grow, cross borders, and enter into the new types of business agreements required to engage the best talent to stay ahead of their competition. Today's webinar will include an overview of current and emerging best practices in workforce optimization, including maximizing worker productivity, and a case study from a company that's on the forefront of leveraging technology to effectively manage their dynamic workforce. I would like to start by thanking Sum Total Systems for helping us make this event possible. First off, they sponsored the event, which allows us to deliver this content for free to all of the attendees, and we greatly appreciate that support. Also, they have provided today's speaker, which is wonderful, and we'll hear more about him shortly. A quick note on today's agenda: we will hear a presentation from our speaker, and then we will move to a discussion where we'll spend the remainder of our hour. We would like this to be an interactive experience for you, so if you have questions at any time, please go to the questions area in your GoToWebinar control panel and send us your questions. And if you'll take just a second and glance over at that control panel, you'll see this little area for entering questions. We cannot promise to get them all in, but we will certainly do our best, and we'll follow up afterwards on any questions that we do not get to. A few quick housekeeping notes. We will send out a link to the soft copy of this presentation, which will be posted on Performative. Actually, probably already is posted on Performative. Our event management crew usually gets these things out before we even get started. You can simply search for the name of today's presentation, Workforce Optimization Across the Enterprise, or just wait till within 24 hours. We will send out to everyone a thank you message and a link to this event, and you can go there and simply download it, print it, whatever you'd like to do. We are also offering CPE credits for the CPAs in today's audience. Now, the way that works is that we will take a couple of quick breaks during the presentation to launch a couple of poll questions. Now, we would love everyone to answer these poll questions, whether you're here for CPE credit or not, because they give us all a little insight into what folks are doing around just some of the issues we'll be talking about today. Now, this is all anonymous, so you don't have to worry. No one will ever know who's answering what here, but it is interesting statistical information, which we may well revisit when we get to the Q&A section today. So that's a little bit of housekeeping. A quick word about Performative to those of you for whom this is your first event. Performative is the largest online resource for finance, treasury, accounting, and related professionals. It's a completely free and ad-free and noise-free community of almost 500,000 now CFOs, controllers, treasurers, and all the folks that work with them in the enterprise. It's interesting resource. I like to call it the least fun place on the web. Nobody is talking about social issues or what they did last weekend. It's all about work and getting questions answered. So it's a very unique and helpful resource, which you can check out at Performative. We have a number of learning objectives that we'd like to hit today, and the person who's going to help us learn about workforce optimization across the enterprise is a gentleman I will introduce now, Mornay Stewart. He's Vice President of Product Management at Sum Total Systems. He has more than 14 years of experience in enterprise-wide workforce management solutions. Mornay is recognized as an industry expert in workforce management. He has designed industry-leading, award-winning, and customer-focused scheduling, time and attendance, and expense management solutions for companies of all shapes and sizes. And with that, Mornay, I would love to hand the this enterprise over to you and let you take it from here.
Well, thank you, John. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate your time this morning. Today we're going to be talking about workforce optimization, the value of an integrated strategic human capital management solution, the strategy around workforce management, and the key trends around workforce management, ensuring that we can improve the agility and ability for an organization to respond and meet its strategic goals while reducing the risk of their talent gaps, litigations and compliance, and then talk about planning our path to that optimized workforce solution. Why integrated strategic human capital management? Well, we've seen a direct correlation between the maturity and completeness of an organization's strategy having a direct impact on the value and the business. We see today that there are many siloed HR processes where there's a high cost and the unavailability of data to rapidly make decisions and drive the right direction within the business. So the siloed processes obviously offer the least amount of value. Then we see standardized but loosely connected processes. We've got multiple vendors, high cost, missing capabilities. As you work through that process, it does provide additional benefit in having some of those connected processes, but not quite the complete solution as a completely integrated infrastructure. We've got a single vendor solution, an end-to-end system, mature technology that can provide comprehensive reporting, actionable insight into the data you need to drive those decisions throughout your business, to help manage compliance and adherence to corporate policies, and improve the overall organization's productivity and retention. As we move through the maturity and completeness cycle, we also see that validated through a study done by Burson. If you look at the 2011 HR Fact Book, we'll see that it shows organizations that have reached maturity, L4, by having business integrated HR functions rather than a compliance drive by itself. HR shows significantly higher performance, in the different metrics that you'll see on the right-hand side there. Specifically, starting with the pipeline of ready successors, building career paths, ensuring that your top performers, your bottom performers are identified, and you have the right people in the right jobs at the right time with the right skill. That is critical and important. That carries forward if we look at the relationship between the different products within an organization. Clearly, there are multiple pillars that make up a strategic human capital management product. And we're going to go to our first polling question. And John, if I could ask you to please drive that polling question for us.
You betcha. So the first polling question is coming up right now. You should see it on your screen. How many systems does your organization use to manage your workforce? We'll go ahead and give about 45 seconds for folks to answer this. Once again, even if you're not here for CPE credit, this is all anonymous, and we would love to have the statistical information. In fact, we'll revisit this when we get to the Q&A, so Renee will have a chance to comment on the results. Also, just a brief reminder, if you have any questions at any time during today's presentation, feel free to pop them into the question panel on your GoToWebinar control panel, and we will do our best to get to them. And I think we've pretty much got everyone in, so at this point I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to Mornay.
Thank you so much, John. So we talk about, integrated strategic human capital management, and that should represent managing the employee's life cycle from hire to retire. The applications essential for an organization to effectively deliver its product or service every day. End-to-end integrated strategic human capital management consists of talent management, learning management, workforce management, expense management, payroll management. We provide, it provides a vehicle for you to drive through several significant business challenges you will face today. The lack of alignment and measurement of HR initiative to strategic business drivers. The impact to your business is measuring the impact of the HR initiative to the business metrics and goals, which is challenging. Your ability to respond and manage those risks are challenging if you don't have visibility within your organization to improve efficiencies and create high-performing, engaging environment. Like the lack of retention of high performers due to the inability to identify, some of their career path deficiencies are clearly, an issue if you don't have visibility to that. And to engage that workforce through clear growth plans is obviously important to retain them. Challenges are faced to match the demand of supply to that demand and the right customer service levels or applying the right talent to the job that's required. And of course, managing compliance and regulations across different regions, countries, unions are driving complexity throughout your organization. So the compliance issues is across the board, right? Learning, certifications, litigations for wrongful terminations, recruiting discriminations, accuracy based on inefficient payroll runs, or leave compliance. And the cost of compliance is not only in litigation of fines, but also the cost of doing business. So, our focus today, based on the fact that about 40 to 60% of an average company's budget is spent on controllable people-related costs, including salary, wages, benefits, and so forth. Our focus today is going to be on the importance of workforce management and how that application pillar can help drive efficiencies throughout your business to help, take what are typically fragmented and disconnected processes and reporting across your organization and bringing that together in a single holistic view to drive optimization across your enterprise. So why workforce management? What's workforce management? Workforce management is a lot more than just time and attendance or paying people right. If you consider that it's used by every employee in the company, every employee in the company either, everyone gets paid for doing work, but the point is they either record their time or they record time off. And both of those requirements, as simple as that may sound, has a direct impact on your business from a compliance point of view and also a bottom line point of view. In addition to that, the way in which these employees are engaged within your business is important to understand, and the tools that you give them to involve themselves in your business is important to share with them and the value to share with them. So employee engagement and retention is directly related to how workforce management is applied. Obviously, customer conversion, loyalty, and retention, ensuring that you have the right customer service levels, the right product being developed, and produced at the right price point. So the productivity of your workforce has a direct impact on your cost of production and or cost of service, and therefore profitability within your organization. So the bottom line is workforce management can help build a higher performing organization. We'll talk about the top 3 pressures driving workforce management within the business, the top 2 strategic actions, and then 5 trends within workforce management as it relates to tying together your organization and providing you with the right data you need to drive business performance. We see that the economic pressures are forcing organizations to do better in managing their labor costs. The respondents were asked to select, the top 2 pressures as it relates to their business, and we surveyed 205 organizations, and 72% of them indicated that the economic pressures are really driving them to better manage their labor costs. And 51% of them said that the changing customer demands or expectations of basically getting more value for a dollar spent is driving better staff allocation. And of course, as we look both in North America for the Fair Labor Standards Act or in Europe for the Employee Labor Act, regulatory compliance and union agreements are driving compliance within the organization as well. So the use of workforce management data can help you make better deployment decisions and improve efficiency within your business. Specifically, the standardization of time management processes through automation have been identified as the 2 top strategic actions of organizations surveyed. And it clearly indicates a better performance for best-in-class organizations than all the others. So organizations can use workforce management to make better deployment decisions, to help standardize time management throughout their processes, and leverage the data to promote a work-life balance, to manage fatigue within their organization and balance the flexibility of work hours. And we can also enable access to workforce management data and tasks via multiple modalities. So John, I'm going to ask you to step to the second polling question, please.
You betcha. So here comes the next polling question. And you'll be seeing on your screen right now, how many time and attendance systems does your organization use? Once again, even if you are not here for CPE credit, we would appreciate your giving us an answer. And also, a quick reminder, if you have any questions you'd like Mornay to address when we get to the Q&A period, go ahead and put those in via the question section. You go to Webinar Control Panel. And with that, we are just about going to close this down, and we will go ahead and do that now. And I'll hand it back to Mornay.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that. So let's focus on aligning the workforce with the organization's strategic goals, improving the speed and success of enabling your employees to become more self-sufficient within the business, and therefore enabling HR to be a more strategic element to the business versus focusing on detailed tasks otherwise served through an application such as a workforce management product. And the top trend that we see develop within organizations is that employee and manager self-service is on the rise. Organizations and employees in best-of-class organizations expect that there will be a self-service function and module available to them to have them record online timesheets, to have them review their work schedules or their vacation balances or absence balances, and give them a warning if in the next 9 days they have not taken their vacation, that they will lose all their vacation time because there's a carryover policy that will only carry over 3 days or 2 days. And also, best-in-class organizations expect that mobile access to self-service functions are available. So to engage your employees within the business, to make them feel part of your organization, to retain the talent and make sure that they are served with products that would help them be more efficient on a daily basis, people are expecting self-service to be available. The benefits is obviously, freeing up HR to play a more strategic role within the company, but also empowering the employee to see what their available time is, to provide an access to what we call social scheduling, which is the availability of an employee time being entered by them, so they can indicate where they want to work, which position they want to work based on their skills, and when they have availability to work. That social element is being brought into the scheduling world right now, which really makes the employees feel part of the organization. Of course, this also improves the productivity of the internal IT group, and we'll look at some of those benefits in a minute. So to understand and get a sense of the percentage of employees that rated themselves engaged or highly engaged, based on employee self-service versus no automation of self-service, you can see the delta there of between 51 and 42%. And if you throw in mobile self-service, there's even a much higher engagement in best-in-class organizations. The percentage of respondents that improved customer service as a result of having that self-service enablement is much higher when it comes to having self-service and mobile self-service. And we can see that the change in the number of manual transactions that are posted as it relates to corrections to payroll and so forth are also much lower when you get into the self-service functions. In terms of absence management, in terms of time corrections, as soon as you get into the self-service enablement through the manager and or employee self-service function, your transition on your HR and payroll departments become a lot less intensive as it relates to retroactive adjustments, and therefore also improving the experience of the individual, because you've given them tools to enable them to request these the time off and or their balances and or enter their availability or enter their time on a self-service function. So an overall improvement to the business and an improved link between the individual, their performance, and their goals. Another trend that we are seeing, which has a direct impact on the internal IT groups of organizations, reducing the HR IT costs and total cost of ownership, is the move to SaaS, software as a service, the ability to access the content remotely over the cloud. So a trend in workforce management solutions is definitely heading away from in-house solutions, getting away from the infrastructure procurement cycle, and enabling the schedule, time, analytics, talent, learning products specifically as well, into this mix of cloud. And once again, if we bring it back to the end-to-end integrated human capital management solutions, all those products are served in a variety of different deployment models. And we see that the best improvement to the reduction of HR/IT total cost of ownerships are around offering these solutions as a SaaS solution. Now, the same rules are applied across all applications. So when we look at an integrated human capital management solution, everything from hire to retire in terms of managing your talent, managing that asset, is managed through a central application. There's a common data set that is entered in. There's a single point of entry when you hire an employee. That employee's profile is maintained throughout any of the organizational elements that are being leveraged. So if I'm in a workforce management product and I am looking up my employee's profile to understand who I'm going to schedule where, it's actually calling up my talent profile. And all the rules, all the compensation rules, all the performance goals, the learning objectives of that individual is all available to me. Now, what's unique is that you'll find that these applications integrated and delivered through SaaS provides all that capability when combined and delivered as a integrated solution. But there are also options to have, if a customer has an existing application in-house, there are options to connect those and get that interoperability to work across a premise and a hosted solution as well. The intent for SaaS and the value to SaaS is that you can now have a single application configuration and a single source of truth for your global workforce management or end-to-end strategic integration, human capital management information needs. And obviously, there's a rapid time to value, less capital outlay, and an immediate ROI for economies of scale and leading practices. If we look at integrating analytics and scheduling into the solution, specifically as it relates to how your employees engage on a daily basis, and the things that are important to the profitability of the business. If we just focus on two areas, one of the leading two indicators that we have seen, which is customer satisfaction and unplanned costs, what we'll see is the percentage of overtime costs that were unplanned are way down when you have automation enabled and proactively manage the schedules of your employees and or have visibility to what the employees are doing. Having that actionable insight available to you as an organization have tremendous benefits to quickly and efficiently close the loop between problem awareness and resolution. So we are able to, through applying analytics to the workforce management product and or to your overall human capital management needs, we're able to quickly give you actionable insight into which areas present risks to your business that you can take immediate action on and address. In this instance, it reduces your overtime costs, but it also improves the customer satisfaction. And again, any manual adjustment, the retroactive manual adjustments, removing HR, bringing them back into the detail of the work, if you have these tools, you can remove them from that process. If you have automation, you can reduce the number of manual transactions. If you have analytics, you can give them better insight. You can give better tools to the individuals that need to deal with the problem, and therefore minimize the involvement of HR in that process and get them to focus on the more strategic elements. So, we talk about the value of integrated human capital management. As it relates to workforce management specifically, there are a couple of things that we want to identify where workforce management can take some of the traditional functions that were associated with HR, like discipline points, attendance tracking, managing time off, Family Medical Leave Act. Family Medical Leave Act right now in the United States is one of the hottest compliance areas and risk areas that we are facing in human capital management. The fact that somebody can identify that they are on a family medical leave absence protects you as an organization versus a phone call or a conversation or a piece of paper that nobody can find when they are being sued as a result of somebody being wrongfully terminated while they are on an FMLA absence. Another example of typical payroll functions, entering in the time by hand on the timesheet, manually calculating overtime, looking at, let's say, the Fair Labor Standards Act and the guidelines around minor pay, exemption to overtime. The source to gross hours are calculated through a workforce management system, which would typically have been a payroll function and manually adding those in. And lastly, if we look at the operational functions of manually scheduling individuals, planning out what activities they need to work on, and also tracking their vacation, all those things have a direct impact on the business, on your awareness of what's going on with the business. And workforce management provides that improved link between the individuals and their activities to increase the business results by having visibility on exactly what's going on with your top talent in the organization. We spoke about empowering strategic HR to move HR out of the transaction processing business. We are looking to have employees interact with self-service, collecting and processing the time, and tracking down approved timesheets, which is typically an HR function, right? Tying employees to specific projects and overtime tracking and calculations. We're trying to get HR to not participate in that, but focus on the development of talent within the organization, making sure that they have the succession plan, the performance goals, taken care of within the business to retain their top talent and make sure there's a career path for those individuals, but not focusing on the tactical within the business. So we're allowing HR to close the loop on those HR activities to improve, job training, employee development, employee satisfaction, and managing their workforce assets as opposed to focusing on the tactical. And the last thing that is most important is the fact that we can have the workforce management system tackle the complexity and compliance issues. There are so many things going on right now where your business can be exposed not having these controls in place. And as financial professionals, you understand the risk that is placed upon your business by not having controls, to help manage some of these fundamentals within your organization. So if we look at non-compliance, the costly fines that impact the bottom line, between October of 2007 and June of 2011, the Department of Labor collected over $680 million in back wages, and they assessed over $34 million in civil monetary penalties across 1,634,000 separate case violations. That's astronomical. These are converted cases that are filed with the Department of Labor where there was no proof from the employer and no record from the employer to dispel any of the cases. That is a tremendous exposure. So if we look at the value of workforce management and where we fit, if you just look at manual processes, and if we break that down, where we are on the road to optimization, if we break that down to manual processes, automated processes, or optimized workforce processes, we can quickly see where you can benefit as an organization on applying these different strategies to your business. Typically, you'll be a manual process type organization when you do very basic time and attendance tracking, very basic leave calculations and deductions through either Excel spreadsheets and or paper-based systems. You are most exposed when you are in a manual process. Obviously, there's a lot of time that is being spent on distributing and optimizing your workforce when you are in the category of a manual process. As soon as you start moving into an automated process where you collect work or non-work time or look at online approvals or edits, you may even have an automated interface to HRMS or some dynamic reporting capabilities. The same path of the maturity of your business process and your systems process, that same path is flowing here where there is some improvement, much like the connected processes that we discussed before, but you still don't have the full integrated suite, the single source of truth, that one view into your business that allows you to really develop and maintain your top talent and track all the required business processes associated with that. And as soon as you move into an optimized workforce where you've got the optimized scheduling, we can track those hours to jobs, manage absenteeism, manage the fatigue, manage the ratios of employees within your business, have the visibility to labor analytics and that cost control, and employee self-service, you are moving into the optimized workforce space. Now let's talk about the return on investment and why it's important. And I'm going to share some statistics with you. But obviously, the return on investment is the benefits, the savings of those benefits over time divided by the spend. And time and attendance or workforce management offers one of the highest ROIs within the integrated human capital management space because it's directly tied to your largest controllable cost and employees using the system within your organization. So here are a couple of numbers of a survey that was performed just to give you a sense of the return on investment expected. So 5 was the number of months to full payback of the return on investment of the system. Now, I say payback because it took 5 months to get back what you paid for the system. And this is a survey that was performed over 250 companies. Of those, their median return on investment was 469%. 3 out of 4 respondents reported a higher than 250% ROI. And 88% of them cited payroll error elimination alone as one of the factors paying for the system. Now, one other aspect of workforce management that we did not cover to this point is basically tying workers' safety into and bringing that into your organization. Worker safety is a very key area and is tied to other aspects of acquiring data in your business as well. Many of you will understand that you use a badge or a punch card or biometric devices to access your facility. Organizations that leverage these technologies and tie them to recording hours of work time to that have identified that if they do not use biometric access control, that they have been exposed to about 19% buddy punching. So a buddy punch is where you would give your badge to a colleague or a friend and have that colleague, or the person that works with you, punch in on your behalf. But you are not at work. But because there's no biometric reference, they can take their badge, give it to that colleague and say, I cannot make it to work today. Can you please punch in on my behalf and punch out on my behalf? And that happens to about 90% of 250 companies that we surveyed. About 74% of them experience a loss from buddy punching. And in the study, it was revealed that about 2.2% of the average payroll loss was as a result of people not being at work when they were indicated as being at work. So there is a tremendous, opportunity in ensuring that your workforce is aligned, that you have the visibility to track your overall employee productivity, increase the percentage of HR time spent addressing strategic versus transactional issues, reduce the litigation due to wrongful termination claims or the risk of business gaps due to the lack of compliance, and the cost associated of not having that in place. So 2% as financials, you would understand if you have a 500 employee organization with an average of $40,000 per year, 2% of that equals $400,000. Just if you associate it with the 2% of buddy punching. So we are reducing, payroll errors, inflation, processing time, unauthorized leave time, improving the accuracy of labor reporting, leave accruals, and eliminating unnecessary time card costs, overtime and compliance risks, and really reducing the risk of the business gaps. At the same time, integrating this with an integrated human capital management system, you get that single employee profile, that single profile to view information on all aspects of employees, from skills and competencies to the learning plans, their performance goals, and salary history, all in one place. So, steps to get started to start realizing this return immediately is, if you have a project, and have some funds available, focus on an initial deployment of this capability within your business. Obviously, do not boil the ocean. Identify the business units, within your organization with high overtime or leave management expenses or compliance risk, where you've got top talent that you feel underutilized because you do not have the business visibility, the metrics, measurements in place to identify how those individuals are used. Partner with HR, with operations, with IT to build out your internal ROI. Understand the time they are spending. It is a tremendous overhead to these individuals within your business to deal with these tactical issues, and map out a long-term plan to achieving an overall strategic human capital management implementation, outside of the specific pillar what we're talking about here, but map out that long-term vision to bring the overall HCM applications within your business. Here's an example of a municipality, 1,600 employees, 13 business units, airport, fire, police, parks, housing, community development. They implemented one of these systems to reduce their duplicate time entry. They eliminated manual systems. They standardized their rules and processes across the business, reduced their information technology support requirements, and they allowed payroll to play more of a strategic role. They transferred error checking to the beginning of the process, at the entry point. So if you look at the downstream effects of having an individual being able to perform self-service functions, being told right there proactively by the system, you are not allowed to take FMLA because you have not worked 1,250 hours for 12 months with our organization. Right there and then, at the absence request point, the system can evaluate and tell them that they're not eligible to take it. Versus an FMLA general administration in an organization of 1,000 employees getting up to 200 FMLA requests a week, having to go through and calculate if people are eligible or not. They're overwhelmed. They miss the fact that some people are not eligible. They allow these people to take time off. There's no records in the system that they have done so. The individuals return. They may be going intermittent. The manager doesn't know that they're on FMLA. The manager terminates them because they see that they're intermittently at the office space, and your company gets sued as a result of the not having visibility to that information. A critical, visibility to have. In this instance, this case study, the municipality reduced their payroll processing of time cards by 95%, and they also, took a process that typically would have taken 22 minutes down to 1 minute. So that is a very measurable ROI. So in building the business case, focus, identify projects, opportunities within this year. We have business goals and business units to focus on. Use the return on investment to get the project funded. There is an incredible return on investment history as it relates to workforce management specifically. And then if you put that together with the overall value of talent, of learning, of expense, of payroll, the end-to-end story is much broader than this. But get started with a project. In this instance, if you can control your overtime and meet your compliance goals with just implementing one of these strategic pillars, you can save up to 4% of your payroll. That's published by the American Payroll Association as a number that they have calculated over the years of surveying organizations that have implemented a system like this. Get the project started and measure. Look at the before, the after measures to see your success. And don't boil the ocean. Start with a project that you can manage, that you can control. As we know, we discussed the value of SaaS and the fact that you can reduce your HR IT cost of ownership by going to a SaaS model. You can improve your productivity of your IT organization. You can improve the focus of HR within your business to help develop your talent, to get those top performers doing the right job, getting the most out of them, understanding the performance goals and competencies of the individuals within your business, and having that drive through your organization to improve the productivity of your organization and get you to be more competitive, to lower the prices of your product as a result of improved efficiency within your business. It's real important to build on these facts and start a project. So with that, I want to thank you, and we're going to turn it over to some questions for John.
Great, thank you. Excellently done. Renee, thank you so much for that. We are going to go ahead and start out with taking a look at the results of these poll questions. And Renee, we'd love to get your take on what you're seeing here. We'll start with the first question: how many systems does your organization use to manage your workforce? When you look at this, 2 to 5 seems to be the the vast majority here. Although only one actually in a significant number of cases. Is that typical for what you see amongst your company's clients?
that is a little high, I have to say. It is surprising to me. The other number that's surprising to me here, John, is 11%. Right? We have about 20 plus customers here who use no workforce management solution whatsoever, or have no system in place to manage their workforce. When we look at the 52% that use between 2 and 5 systems to manage their workforce, that's really high. Right? Think of the overhead of trying to connect the systems. Think of the touch points, the integration points, the upgrade cycles. That is an incredible cost to the organization. So if I look at the 11 and the 52%, we have 63% of the organizations that have real cost tied to the ownership of the processes that they have in place that they can immediately benefit from in bringing that back to one system. I am pleased to see that organizations, 28% of the organizations, have one system in place. What would be interesting to understand is if that one system covers the spectrum of capability or if it only covers one of the pillars that we spoke of.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Okay. Great. Let's go ahead and hop over to a quick look at the next poll question. Here we go. How many time and attendance systems does your organization use? And it looks like once again about half are at 1, and then 27% 2 to 5. What do you think about this?
This is exciting to see for me in terms of the opportunity that these businesses have to really save money. There's no question about it. Whoever said none, you have an immediate opportunity to impact your bottom line and save your organization money by implementing solutions like these. There is just tremendous exposure for those who did not answer that they have a solution in place. If we look at the different aspects of compliance risk, of overtime, of absence liability, of FLSA violation, of if these are international organizations, the exposure they have to block time, modulation time in France, the whole just absence management control potential that they have by implementing a solution, they should immediately reach out and get somebody coming to their organization to save them that cost. And the 27% and the 6% or more, it's just or 6 or more systems that they have in place to manage one aspect of the business is just astounding. I mean, there's once again a tremendous opportunity to reduce the cost of ownership, in bringing these systems together, bringing the tools and process to improve productivity and efficiency in the business, to help HR to be more strategic, because all the requests for those who reported none are now done telephonically, calling up a person in HR, asking them for their balances, having somebody manually type in from either an Excel spreadsheet or a written piece of paper on a weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, or monthly basis, hundreds or thousands of entries that are error-prone and have been proven to be error-prone on just typing in information incorrectly of about 2%, of whatever you're typing in. So there is just tremendous opportunity for businesses to save money. I'm so happy that we have had the time to at least talk about the value of these solutions to these individuals today, so that they could reach out and get somebody to take care of that for them.
Great. Let's move on. We've got a bunch of questions here, and we'll do as many as we can in the time we have remaining. A great question here. You had mentioned the issue of buddy punching and how the use of these systems can reduce buddy punching. But the question here is, how do you eliminate buddy punching? You mentioned in passing biometric measures, et cetera. How can companies actually get rid of that issue?
Yeah, a great question, and thanks for asking it. And that's exactly right. So body punching gets eliminated when you have a biometric device set up within your business. So instead of having a proximity reader, where you bring up a badge very close to the device that's punching in, or instead of having a barcode where you kind of, like slot the card, swipe the card through the reader, like you do at the cash register when you do a pay card transaction. Those kind of systems, you can pass. It's like passing the card to somebody else where there's no identification tied to who you are performing that function. And biometrics eliminates that because you actually have to put either your hand or your thumb or your forefinger or any finger that you choose on your hand. And there are other types of biometric devices as well. But let's just use a fingerprint. And it's not really a fingerprint. It's a scan that takes place in technology, because most people think that it's actually taking an image of their fingerprint and they're sensitive to having that fingerprint on file. What it's doing is it's scanning different touch points of the finger. And that helps identify the individual, so your friend cannot go and punch in on your behalf because they cannot carry your finger with them. So that completely eliminates the body punching component whatsoever. And there's tremendous savings in return on investment. And just if you try to build a business case and somebody says, you know what, we are struggling to get biometrics approved within our organization because of the hygienic factor, or somebody saying, I don't want to put my finger where somebody else put their finger, just ask them the question, did you open the door that they just opened? Because it's the exact same thing. So, if I can share some of that with you to help promote this within your business, it can save you a very good percentage of cost that is being attributed to that right now within your business.
Great. Next question. Are HCM solutions only for large companies?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Human capital management solutions from, managing your talent is, in small companies, more important than in large companies. And having that top talent developed, having visibility to who your top performers are, is more important in a smaller company because you're doing more with less. So, having a good, visibility into the profile of your employee, having good statistics on how your employees are performing, having the measurement of, what their time is allocated to, and having visibility to how those metrics are playing out within your organization is really important. If you have 50 employees and above, you are eligible and now part of a, the FLSA kind of, requirements, that apply to your business. So you are exposed if you've got greater than 50 employees, and you need to have controls within your organization to help limit your exposure, to help manage that compliance. So it is critical, if not more critical, to smaller employees to give them that edge, over their competition. And obviously, as you get into larger workforces, the visibility that these tools provide is tremendous, because and the value that they provide, tremendous to large organizations as well, because the larger organizations have the issue of having managers having to deal with large groups of individuals that report to them. So in a smaller organization, it gives you the edge because you can manage your talent, you can develop your talent, and in smaller organizations, succession planning is obviously critical and key in ensuring that you maintain the skill sets within your business, can promote employees within your business to take advantage, of leadership positions and grow within your organization.
Great. Next up, is this just an HR platform, or are these tools used by other functions? And remember, we've got a lot of finance, accounting, and related folks on the line here.
These tools are used across the business, so it's definitely not just an HR function. If you look at the different, organizations, the line of businesses that benefit from this, these are managed tools are used by IT, directors of HR, chief talent officers, chief learning officers, the C-level execs, and for IT. Some of the immediate benefits are, of course, reducing the cost of ownership for supporting human capital management processes, promoting more self-service tools and processes to improving productivity and staff from an IT point of view. From a line of business point of view, it's improving the overall employee productivity and efficiency, giving them access to the right tools. So it's used by the individuals in that instance and or the line of business managers to improve the link between individual performance and department goals. From a director level, managing compliance and adherence to the corporate policies and enabling the engaging environment and culture for employees and providing them a career path. For the SVPs of HR or the chief talent officers, it's reducing the risk of talent gaps, litigations compliance, improving overall organizational productivity and retention. And for the C-level execs, improving agility and ability for the organization to respond and meet its strategic goals. It provides strategic or strategies to support that growth within your business and manage the costs. So it goes across the organization. That's why it's called integrated strategic human capital management. It manages the entire life cycle from hire to retire, and it touches everybody within the organization.
Gotcha. And then one last question here before we get into our final words of thanks to everyone for today. Do workforce management platforms typically integrate with an ERP or accounting system, or do they stand alone?
Great question. They absolutely integrate to the larger ERP systems because of the specificity of the workforce requirements. ERPs don't typically support punch clocks or scheduling tools, or they don't typically manage the detailed activity-based costing requirements of how employees get paid, specifically at the unionized level. So workforce management coexist with those systems because they'll take the HR, employee demographic information, and they will translate it into schedules, into planning, into the time recording at a very detailed level to understand if somebody is working, a third shift, if they get, overtime because they're working past midnight, and little things like that, which the ERP systems just do not cater for. So they absolutely coexist. They basically are developed to make up a gap that are identified in the ERP systems. And part of the integrated strategic human capital management solution suite is to bring together your HR talent profile, work on that from a performance and learning goal, bringing workforce management and scheduling your talent proactively to get the right jobs done at the right time, at the right cost, and then reducing the cost associated with any errors, through that processing cycle, any compliance risk through that processing cycle, and then sending those gross hours and dollars to payroll.
Great. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Mornay. At this point, we'll take care of a few pieces of housekeeping, and then we'll let everyone go. First off, thanks to Mornay for his time and insight. If you would like us to connect you with him, please indicate that on the survey, which we will invite you to take immediately at the conclusion of this webinar. It's about a 2-minute survey. We always like to do things better the next time, and your input matters to us. And you can just request to be connected with Mornay with a click of a mouse. Very simple to do. Here you'll see if you have any CPE questions at all, please contact Dawn Moore, D-M-O-R-E at performative.com, and she will be more than happy to take care of any of your questions and get you taken care of. We would really, once again, like to thank Sum Total Systems, not only for providing us with this wonderful speaker and content today, but also for allowing us to make this event, like everything else at Performative, free. of cost to our users. We hope you enjoyed the last hour, and will come away much smarter about these systems and with some great ideas about how you might look to implement them at your companies. And we hope to see you next time at one of our other events or online at performative.com. So the final thanks goes to the attendees. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you soon. With that, I'll go ahead and shut down the webinar. You'll be presented with this quick 2-minute survey, and we greatly appreciate your taking a moment to do that. So one final thanks to Mornay, and we'll see everyone the next time.